kind of shaky. Hello, hello, happy Saturday. If you are in the live chat, I'd love for you to give me, help me with the sound check and let me know that everything's going. You can see my paper and you can hear me well. So, hi, Nicoya. Now, if you recently saw an email that went out, I'm going to start finally getting back into feedback mode. So what that means for you is you can submit to me in an email a photo of your work, and then I'm going to film myself giving you feedback, and then I'm going to share that with everyone. So a couple things. Number one, you have to be okay with me sharing your work. And then number two, I would prefer you to at least give me some ideas about what you're thinking with your work. Like, what specific feedback are you looking for? Is there anything in particular that you had troubles with? That way it can focus my feedback, because you can imagine, I mean, I would love to talk about it for a long time, but if you can kind of tell me, you know, I'm concerned about my spacing or these certain letter forms, and then you could just take a photo of that and then include that in your email to me. So I will send out another note about that, just so everyone's clear on how to get feedback. And what I'm going to do with those videos, I'm going to pre-record them on my own time and then roll those out, and then I will make that available for you. Okay, thank you for the sound check. Hi, Gail. Okay, so for today's training, I wanted to focus on the difference in what different types of pens do to that hairline stroke. Okay, and as always, these trainings are pretty casual, so feel free to ask questions or ask me a question, and then at the end, I'll get to as many as I can. But something interesting happened when I was preparing for a different project. So I'm just going to take a quick moment to plug the Uppercase Bootcamp Challenge that I'm doing with my friend Nina Tran on Instagram. Okay, so if you're interested in learning about this, you'll want to go to my website at, I have it written down here, piecescalligraphy.com/uppercase. Okay, so this is just a mini challenge to get you practicing those uppercase basic strokes. Okay, so I love this opportunity to work through this with you all. And then here are the practice sheets and the examples that you can download. And what I wanted to tell you from this, I'm not going to go into detail, but this is happening on Instagram, and I'll also be sharing videos here on YouTube on my main channel. What I wanted to share was, as I was making my own examples to share, look what happens when I use different pens. Okay, so the pen on the right is my Pentel sign pen, and the pen on the left is the Tombow Fudenosuke twin tip. Okay, it's this double tip here, so there's a black edge, a black tip and a gray tip, and then the other pen was, well, it was a blue one, but it was this Pentel. And I always say that the Pentel is my favorite, and it is, like, I love this pen, but in practicing copperplate script and trying to get a little bit more crisp of a script, I found that the Tombow Fudenosuke I liked it a little bit more. Like, I felt like I was cheating on my Pentel sign pen. One of the examples I can show you is, see this oval right here? That's supposed to be a hairline here, and it just was really thick. So look at this hairline on this stroke. And then now look at the right side of this oval. Those should be similar, and yet this one is a little bit thicker, right? And I think that's just because the Pentel, excuse me, While the Pentel is very easy to use, it has enough flex in it that the tip doesn't consistently give you this hairline. And I think that's why a lot of people like the Tombow Fude hard tip. Okay, so here is what I did with this soft tip. And let me just demo for you so you can see that so when I do the oval with the Fudenosuke, it's a little bit easier to achieve that same consistent upstroke. Okay, let me know if that's something that you've experienced as well. If you're watching this on the replay, you can just comment below and tell me. And if you're in the chat, let me know too if you kind of experience that as well. Like, both pens are really great, but if you are kind of wanting that crisp upstroke, then I would stick to this pen. Okay, so I wanted to take that a step further, and you know, I think that's kind of all I wanted to say with the differences in these pens. What I wanted to focus on for today's lesson is how to really critically analyze your writing, okay? And so let's take a word like consistent. I'm just kind of picking a word. Okay, so first of all, I should have guideline. I should have a slant behind here, but I just wanted to demo. Remember how I said sometimes I'll demo something, but I want you to focus on that one skill. Don't worry so much about other things. So for here, just know that I want to talk about how to analyze your script. Oh, maybe I should have written consistency. So we have a descending stem loop. Okay, so when you're analyzing your own script, I'm going to give you kind of like my general way that what am I thinking when I go back and I look at my letters. So you don't just want to keep writing and not look back at where you came, like what you did. But you want to first make sure that that shade is on your slant. Okay, so I'll even go through and kind of put my pencil or whatever utensil through those thick strokes and see where those line up. Okay, and I'll move my paper as I go. Okay, then it makes me feel like, okay, so if there, for example, was a letter that was a little bit off of that slant, then that's something that I would want to keep an eye on and focus. The next thing, to compare spacing, I've learned that doing this identifying of your slant line, look what it does. Okay, let's, I'm going to make them a little bit darker. I want to point out, for example, look at the space from here. Actually, technically, this is a shade too. Okay, so look at the space between those shades. Okay, notice how, and I'm gonna like write all over this. Notice how the C and the O, the width between those shades is a certain width, right? But then when I get to this NSI, look how tight that gets. Okay, it opens up a little bit with the I, but that's an indication to me that this spacing is a little bit different than this spacing. Okay, so what that means is I'm probably needing to open up my letter S here and that connection to the I. Okay, so does that make sense? How you want to kind of identify where your slant is and then use that, identify the shades on the slant and use that as a way to keep an eye on the pacing of your letters. Okay, so if we do this again, and that's why it's so important to create your letters slowly and give each stroke its integrity. Don't shortchange it, because then if you don't give it the time and the space, you're compromising that letter. Oh, then I totally changed the word on you. Okay. Consistency. So now what I did here was, when I got to the point of the SIS connection here, uh-oh, I'm running out of battery. I have to plug my laptop in. I tried to be more conscious of that spacing. So let's take a look. If I still a little bit tight here. Okay. But it's really just that constant fine-tuning, right? It's this back and forth process. There's never like a 100% you are done and you can move on from this forever. Like you may have a really good piece one moment, then the next maybe you kind of lose sight of that spacing. And so what I'm trying to instill in you is this constant evaluation of your work. Okay? The next thing I want to go over is identifying the ovals in your strokes. Okay, so if you know from how I've taught, that all of these strokes are based on the oval because it's copperplate inspired, which is that script that's based on the oval. Look at all of these ovals. And that's another thing I wanted to point out, because something that I tend to see is, for example, if I have one stroke here that, actually let me start a little bit lower. For example, on the ascending stem loop, I might see something that looks like this, and then I'll see another stroke that looks like this. Okay, and what's happening is, you may not notice it, but if you do this practice, if you practice putting those ovals everywhere and just try to find areas where they should be. This gets a little bit compressed here. So oval here, there's an oval here. You'll notice that there's one missing in this ascending stem loop. And then I think I kind of exaggerated this one, so you can tell that it's obviously constricted. But again, it's just that practice, that constant, how can I go back into my work and then apply these different techniques to kind of notice what needs work. Okay. Oh, hi Isella, hi Patricia, Elaine, so good for you guys to join us. Do you guys have any questions so far? And Sarah, hi Sarah. Let me know if this is making sense to you, if this is something that you are going to do. And I'd love for you to, the next time you practice anything, like a word or a drill, go through and use this technique to better analyze your script. One of my favorite drills, it's really simple, but when we just connect our underturns, what I tend to notice is at some point those strokes can start to get inconsistent. Okay, so if I did a row of underturns here and I put that slant line, and if I highlight that shade, then you can kind of see that here it started to get a little bit more compressed. And then if I put my ovals into each of those strokes, it just really reaffirms the shape. Okay, you're not looking for something that's too pointy like this. You don't want something that is a little bit too upright and it's off the slant. So if this was part of my line here, then you can see how that just changed drastically. Okay, these two lines are not parallel. Look at how they're tight closer here, then they're further back here. And then if I place my oval there, it can sit there, but you really want this exit stroke to hug that side of the oval. Okay. Okay, and then another thing I wanted to bring up was a good point that I was watching a live stream with some calligraphy friends, Nina and David, and they were pointing out that when you have a letter that is connected to the letter N, there's a big space that does not have the shade. And I thought that was really interesting. So let me show you what I mean. So if I have a letter, let's say an A, and then I have a shade here. Excuse me. So usually we want that consistency that spacing to be pretty even, because there's like a pace and a rhythm to these letters that you create. But look what happens when you have this reverse compound curve. So I have a shade here, a shade here. My next shade is not until this N. So this space here and this space here match, but this one, it's a little bit wider, okay? And I don't know if there's a right or wrong, but I did notice that if you want to have more of a tighter and more you want that consistency to look really good, then I would say it's okay to bring this in just a little bit. Okay, and when you jump, let me show you what that looks like. So this stroke here, let me highlight that in red. It's this stroke. Okay, and ordinarily when you create this stroke, individually these do hold the shape that I'm looking for. But what happens is it's the shade that when you look at the pacing of a word, you want that shade to draw the eye and to be consistent. You don't want this emptiness here to kind of call attention to it. So one fix for that is to bring that, instead of this reverse compound curve, which is sound in its shape, you want to bring it in just a little bit. Okay, it's not much of a difference, but even just in that slight difference, so see this spacing versus this spacing. So now we can create that same letter connection. Okay. And then now we have a little bit more of a even spacing. So see how that now is a little bit closer to the space there. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that. The pen was harder to see. Yeah, I love using this gray pen. Let me hold it closer just so you can take a look. Okay, so oh, let me do the same thing. So from here, from here, now that stroke is a little bit more compressed, just like that. Okay, sorry, I had to go peek at my kids. I think they're leaving for a haircut appointment. Okay. So does that make sense? I liked just, I don't know, I really love this whole idea of using that critical eye, but I always say that and I want to give you actual ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just tell you use your critical eye, but if you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't know exactly how to improve it from there, then that's not really that helpful, right? Okay, so I have 10 minutes left. I actually finished sooner than I thought. This is new. This doesn't happen often. So I'm going to go ahead and take some questions that you guys have. Some questions that I've been getting in emails and previous videos have been to do other letter connections. So I think what I love doing is just taking example words from you guys and just seeing how, if there are tricky letter connections there that you want to practice. So let me know. I'm going to go ahead and use the black tip on the brush pen here. Okay. So let's write maybe summertime. That would be fun, right? Okay. So there's another one of those reverse compound curves. There's another one. Excuse me, guys. Lately, I've been liking making my E's like this. After I finish writing this word, I'm going to pull that over to the side and show you why. Okay, here's another one. What I have been noticing lately, I've been practicing my E's instead of doing the typical entrance stroke here, then lifting and adding your light stroke and then coming down with that thick stroke. Instead, I've been doing an entrance stroke and then sort of like I'm doing a C, but I start at the top of the header line. I go immediately into that thick stroke and then I finish the letter. This is a little wonky there. And then I'll come back around and add the light stroke. So not much of a difference, but I just feel like by focusing first on this, from this area, and then technically to this area because you want to create that stroke and then finishing this stroke. It's just one more way to break down the letters. Because with this one, let's see, with number 1 here, what that is that consists of, I think it's looking a little blurry, let me refocus. What this is, let's do number 1 here. It's an entrance stroke and then simply a hairline and all in one go, the letter E. Or you could break it up at the bottom. Entrance stroke, finish here, and then finish with an exit stroke. But what I've been liking about this version is it's breaking it up even more. Entrance stroke, just a shade. Okay, but starting at your tip and then ending on the tip. You don't want it to start thick and end thick. And then I finish with that exit stroke, and then I come back and then add that hairline. So it's basically breaking apart this stroke here. But see how you guys, I mean, I'm writing an E, but when you break it up, especially with number 2, it's not an E. I mean, look at this. This right here, this is an entrance stroke, don't have an official name for this, but just a shaded stroke, an exit stroke, and then a hairline, right? And so I just feel like breaking that down makes things so much more easier to then get back to your main word or whatever you're trying to practice and then apply that. Oh, thank you, Gail. Yes, the gray pen I'm using is the Tombow Fude or Fudenosuke twin tip. And then that black ink, Elaine, is on the other side. Like, you guys, I love this pen. It's funny because a lot of the times the hard tip and the soft tip are what you see. But this twin tip, I mean, it's like 2 pens in one. You get the gray and the black, which is really cool. It is more expensive, obviously. The other ones, I believe, are $2.50 to $3, whereas this one is $5.50. But I just feel like it's worth it. All right. Any other questions? I think we might end this early. If I don't have any other questions, I don't have anything else to share with you guys, but I do want to review those announcements. So the Uppercase Boot Camp, which if you can't catch it live, let me adjust my camera here. If you can't catch it live, then that's okay. All of the videos will still continue to be up, and I will share those on my YouTube channel. And I have this page on my website. Now, because you guys are my students, and you guys know I've been working on a part 2 anyway, I feel like this boot camp is just a Kickstarter for myself and for you guys, especially because that course isn't ready yet. So I would highly, highly encourage you to join in. Let me know if you're in, by the way. I would love to keep tabs on you. Let me know what your Instagram handle is. Or just tag me. And then we're going to jump into the hand-lettered ABCs, where we're going to do a letter a day beginning with August 1st. Okay, so I just wanted to share this. It's completely free and it's open to anyone. So share it with your friends, you know, just tag them on the posts that you'll see us do. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. The second thing, so Uppercase Boot Camp. The second thing I wanted to share was the feedback days. Okay, I think I called it Feedback Friday. Does anyone remember from my emails? So what Feedback Friday is send me a photo, a pic of your work, and then give me 1 to 2 specific questions or concerns that you want me to address, just to focus your work. You can send me as many as you want, but I just think that there's value in keeping the feedback focused instead of you sending me like 30 pages and saying, okay, give me feedback, which I could, but I think it's important for me to meet you where you are. Let me know what you're focused on and wanting to do. Okay, awesome, guys. And that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning into this training. I tried to keep it focused on critically analyzing your work, because if I can, I'm gonna give this video a title. Remember, you can always go to my website, piecescalligraphy.com, and please don't share this, you guys. I mean, you can share like the concepts, but this is really designed for you guys. I just wanted to honor the fact that you guys are my students. I purposely didn't give this page a password just because I think like you don't want one more password to memorize, right? So this is really for you guys, student trainings. All the replays for these trainings are going to be here, and I'm going to label this one specifically critically analyzing your work, or just building that critical eye so that you can refer back to it. And otherwise, I will see you guys later. Sorry I don't have baby Pieces here. She's outside with her grandpa. She's taking a wagon ride. So if you're on Instagram, I'll probably share a story and share that with you guys. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hi, Barbara. Yes, breaking down letters. And I would be happy to do that with other letters you guys are having trouble with. That same concept with the E goes for the letter C. So, for example, let me use another color. With the entrance stroke here, I usually just create my whole C like this. Or you can do entrance stroke, stop here, and then finish. But I have been going a step further and doing an entrance stroke. I start at the top of the header. Just create this part. this shaded stroke, finish with the exit, and then I come back around and bring that down and add my dot. Okay, so what that does, I do want to point out something. Look at this stroke, you guys. It is not a coincidence that those are the same stroke. And it is also not a coincidence that my slant line would ideally touch the top and bottom. Okay, you don't want to do something like this. That's a little bit too upright. Or if you did something like this. Oh, that was kind of a bad example. If it's too slanted, okay, so just that's kind of what I want you to start getting into the thoughts. So, okay, that's it, guys. Elaine, I appreciate your email link. Oh, I'm glad you do, because sometimes I just feel like I'm so, I'm bothering you guys, but I figure, you know what, I would rather send you the links and the reminders, and you tell me, no thanks, and you just delete it, than you not have the link available. So I'll continue to do that, and have a good weekend. Oh, okay, so you're asking about the uppercase boot camp. Elaine, if I were you, the best way to get notified, I would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I know that sounds like a super, like a plug there, but, okay, so this is the part where I feel like I just want to talk to you guys, but, I would just subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can get that notification, and I believe you'll get emailed when I post the new link. Okay, so I'm not going to be emailing you just because I don't know if everyone is interested in the uppercase boot camp, but if that is something that you want me to, I can start a mailing list and then email that to you. What do you think? My concern is I'm like a one-woman show, and I think creating another mailing list on my end, I'm like, I don't know when I could do that. So for now, I'm gonna say subscribe to my YouTube channel, because the next week I'll be rolling out all those videos. Okay, guys, maybe with the next round, because I talked to Nina about the uppercase boot camp, and she was saying that, you know, we both kind of like we're hustling behind the scenes to make this happen. We both have kids, we both are a little busy, but next go around I'll take some feedback on how we can make this smoother. Alright, guys, I'm really gonna sign off now, and hope you're having a great day. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you guys next time, whether you're on Instagram, whether it's in the Facebook group, or however else we keep in touch. So, okay, guys, bye.